Welcome to the online masterclass on performing arts and extended reality of NAT project. I will speak briefly about the project in a couple of minutes. My name is Carola Gatto and I'm part of the AVR Lab, the augmented and virtual reality laboratory of the University of Salento, that is coordinated by Professor Lucio De Paulis, that is here with me. And as I was saying, the NAT project is the Nature, Art, Technologies project, so it's the acronym of these three important words. And this is a project of the Italian Center of International Theatre Institute, and it's in partnership with Cyprus Center of the International Theatre Institute and Uniter Romania, and the Human Development and Culture International School of Georgia, and also the Augmented and Virtual Reality Laboratory of the Department of Engineering for Innovation of the University of Salento in Italy. So it's an international partnership that is part of this European project funded by the Creative Europe program. And the project itself aims to enhance the site-specific intervention of performing arts by developing artistic methodologies that integrate intercultural eco-sustainable practices, augmented and virtual reality experimentation in relation in a very deep connection with the places and the communities where the project is the host. The dimension, as I said, is a very intercultural dimension. So starting from the partnership, but also in the places where we work, one of the main topic is the discovering of this intercultural dimension of the places. And as a main part of the project, we organize some residencies, artistic residencies, in some places where we work for a while, for some weeks, and then we build the site-specific performance. We already had two of these three residencies. The first one was the Eco Residency titled Of Water and Wine in Kalopanaiotis, Cyprus, that it was hosted in May. Then we had in June the second residence in Sfântu Gheorghe in Romania, and the Eco Art Residence in this case was titled The Other Is Me. And at the end, we will organize the last residence of the NAT project titled Nature, I Suspect, in Italy, and it will be hosted in September. We are working all together with this international artistic team to experiment, to build the site-specific performances. And another part of this construction, this long process, is the organization of the masterclasses, I would say. That is a moment of sharing, of learning, a very important moment in which all the team, the artistic as well as the digital, the technical team, works together in an learning moment, and sometimes we also have the pleasure and to host some very important people that works in this field, in the field of the extended theater. And that's why I'm very glad today, since we are involved in this important action of the project, that is, of course, the masterclass on extended theater. But now I give the floor to Professor Lucio De Paulis to present, to introduce our expert that today will conduct us in this important sharing and knowledge experience.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. I'm very glad to have with us today two important people that work in the field that Carolina introduced a few seconds ago, and in particular Charlotte Triebus and Christian Geiger from Mirevi Lab at Düsseldorf University of Applied Science. I met for the first time Charlotte a few months ago in Saint Malo in a Tripoli VR conference, and I was immediately impressed by the presentation, by the demo that she did in the conference. And I met again Charlotte with Christian Geiger a few weeks ago at the conference here in Otranto of the conference, AVR Salento conference that we had in the middle of June in Otranto. Today, the workshop, the masterclass is very interesting, and the topic is Art and Science of Immersive Experience at the Mirevi Lab and Beyond. Mirevi is the name of the laboratory where Charlotte and Christian work. They are researching at the intersection of human technology and arts and design at this very interesting laboratory on mixed reality and visualization at the Düsseldorf University of Applied Science. Christian is the leader of the lab. He has been working in the field of mixed reality, digital media, and the immersive human technology interaction for more than 25 years. He was the leader of a lot of research and development projects on a national and international level, and he is particularly fascinated by the design and implementation of new, useful, and sustainable XR experience. And in addition, Charlotte is a performance artist, designer, choreographer, and dancer, and lead several projects of the Mirevi laboratory, Mirevi team, in cooperation with artist scientific collaborators. Her artistic works and performances have been shown in a lot of museums and festival halls, as well as at international exhibitions, and more in the field of tension between contemporary arts and interactive digital technology. You can imagine that for me, I'm very glad to have in this masterclass both of these colleagues, and I leave you the floor, Christian and Charlotte, for your masterclass. And I don't know, Carolina, how long, how many minutes they have for the masterclass?
Yes, we have 30, 40. Also 40 if you need, and then a few minutes for a couple of questions.
Yeah. If you leave some minutes for a couple of questions, could be appreciated. Okay, Christian, Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I will start. Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. And we are very happy to be invited to this event and to present some of our projects and perspectives on art and science of immersive experience in our lab, but also on beyond. So as you already have introduced myself, I will start presenting our lab and also some work. Originally, 25 years ago, I started my career when I was working in Paderborn at Siemens in a joint research lab with the university, with the company, and the idea was, and that influenced me since then, it was two things. One, this cooperation between industry and university, but also the interdisciplinary work. I'm working with designers and artists since the 90s, and I also try to do this then in my own career. And now the research lab, I will, so I hope you can see this here. We at the Mirevi lab, you can see here our interdisciplinary team of designers, searchers, and you can have a look. And also we brought back from the Salento and the conference, we was a digital souvenir. We not only attended this exciting conference, and we also get to know Lucio and his team, and it was really a great experience. And here you can see our lab and a number of different projects. As said, Mirevi is an interdisciplinary team of scientists, engineers, designers, and artists, and we work on many different projects in the field of digital media, entertainment, digital health, but mainly, and this is the focus here in my talk, on art and culture. And one thing is special, I would say, is that we are not located at the university campus. We have a shared working environment with two companies from the field of 3D special effects film production and also media technology since now 2015. And this gives us a direct contact to business clients, but also art and culture organizations, instead of, now let's say, sitting in an ivory tower and only doing theoretical work. So since that, also our team grows to a number of up to 35 people, including student assistants, and a number of very interesting and exciting projects, especially in the area of art and culture. And to present very briefly my perspective on immersive experiences, I would like to mention, so my area is the design and engineering of these experiences, not so much the artistic perspective. That's Charlotte's area of expertise. But we all know, dealing with immersive technology, that this is now available for many different people. And as immersive experience experts, we need to collaborate with artists, with technicians, but also with the recipients or the users. And this democratization of technology, everyone has now access to XR or can produce it. And now the aesthetic experience, from our point of view, is the base of the value creation. This is the important thing. And also the focus on the recipients or users, depending on the settings. In their daily life, let's say they are customized to immersion, interaction, and participation. And we also have to take this into account when we create aesthetic experiences, artistic projects, and the like. So what we like to focus on is a reception-oriented design of these aesthetic experiences. And to summarize it, you can say we at Mirevi combine, or new media art meets experience design on the one hand, but also extended reality technology on the other. So if you want art, you need artists, but if you want new media art, you also need XR and XP experts. And to show you some of our projects, but mainly it is one project with a number of different sub-projects and findings, and also creating new questions, I would like to introduce you to a large project we did in the last 4 years. It's the Theater of Extended Realities. It's a nationally funded project here in Germany. It's the most relevant, apart from Charlotte's work, is this project, at least I said 4 years, with 2 theaters and a cultural social scientists. And there we ask ourselves, you can see here the links, but I will also provide the slides to the project homepage. The research questions there was, how can theater go beyond the traditional stage format to reach new audiences and also to develop new artistic practices? I think you in your project already know these things, because you are working also in this area with a different perspective on these outdoor things. But you know what I'm talking about. And we are also interested in how can we collaborate across these disciplines, especially because we initially lack a common language between artists and designers and also technological experts, and also have different working methods between art and tech, and how can we do things together? How can also, this is interesting and important, such a collaboration positively influence our social life, which from our perspective is the core idea of art and technology, to make things, to make life better. And in these 4 years, we created, or we were part of a very large number of different projects, performances, installations, scientific work. And at that, this is only a subset what happened in these 4 years. You can see at the webpage all the other things. And that was interesting, we had many different roles in these different sub-projects, sometimes as technical experts and consultants, sometimes only to rent devices like motion capturing or do the operating of that. But sometimes also we do artistic work, especially Charlotte, as choreographer. We work as designers, as coaches, but presenters. But we also learn a lot, especially in the working together with people from theater, with artists, and how we can create large projects with specially adapted workflows. And one thing I would like to show is we have one project, it's Oneironautica. I selected this one because it was interesting. It is a VR project. We dealt with lucid dreaming, and we developed a performative VR installation in which and a workflow where we scanned the theater as a location for various dreams. We see the theater is intended to represent a place of dreams, but here in this application they are also deconstructed. And we developed a complex workflow so that we can scan venues in 3D, create avatars, animate them using mocap, and to create an interactive immersive environment. But first we created the technology, and then we can create different dreams. And in the first dream I present here, we worked together with Charlotte as choreographer and artist, and she created a dance piece for 2 avatars addressing a topic of toxic transformative powered structures and longing for reunification with light, which relates to a play, to a theater play at that season when we presented this first time. And I can show you a short trailer so then you can get an idea how it looks like.
Es könnte ein Fehler sein, nur das für wirklich zu halten, was allgemeingültig und überprüfbar ist.
In letzter Konsequenz können wir uns nicht auf einen Schluss verlassen, sondern müssen eine Wahl treffen. Kam das Universum aus dem Nichts oder aus sich selbst, dann gilt das auch für den menschlichen Geist. Wohin dehnt sich denn das Universum immer weiter aus? Was liegt an seinen Rändern?
Das ewige Licht.
Wir sollten uns nicht zu schnell mit so etwas Grundlegendem wie der Existenz Gottes zufrieden geben. Zunächst, sind Zeit und Raum unabhängig von unserer Wahrnehmung? Anders gesagt, existieren Raum, Zeit und Kausalität, bevor wir sie beobachten können? Ist unsere Vorstellung ein Produkt der Materie oder die Materie ein Produkt unserer Vorstellung?
Okay, these were some expressions of this 8 or 9-minute experience that you experience using a VR headset. We have special seats where you sit in and you can also move. And it is an interesting thing is that we created this base, and this was one dream. But the idea is also to create, depending on the topics of the theater seasons, to create other dreams. For example, right now we have a second dream which is presented next week in X-Coax in Dundee in Scotland. There we comment on identity and isolation and illustrate parables of Franz Kafka, and also other dreams will be developed until the end of the year. What is interesting here is that we first created the technical structure. So you can say, so developing the tech first is on the one hand efficient because we have the technology more or less available to create artistic experiences. But on the other hand, it requires that art follows technology, which sometimes is also a problematic thing. If you look from the other side, we can also say art may and definitely do this or will create new technological ideas that, yeah, we would not otherwise have been thought of. But to realize them may take a lot of time, especially for advanced R&D, and which may also fail. Which is also difficult if you have the due date of the premiere already promised. So we have this chicken egg paradox for new media art, which comes first, and sometimes both approaches are necessary, often in interplay, but this is a real challenge we also are facing and also working on solutions. Another project I would like to say, we are also working with AI in this context, AI and algorithms. Let's say as art director, there's one thing that is the Bildklangpoet, or in English, translation maybe a visual sound poet. This is something we showed especially for open days at the museum. It was here at the night of the museum this year. The idea here is to take a photo. It's a kind of photo box, let's say. Yeah? So we take a photo, we select a painter or painting style, then select a poem, and then the AI generates paintings and also music with the poem lyrics. So we try to combine a lot of different AI services, and I show you on that. Now making the music a bit on silent. So you take a photo of yourself, as you see here in the video. Then you choose an artist, here, for example, Van Gogh, so the painting style of Van Gogh. Then additionally, you can select one of here, in this case, 7 poems. It was here from the Panther, from Anna Maria Rilke. And then now sound is generated, which illustrates the poem, creates images of the user using the lyrics, and now I'm making it out so you can hear the producing sounds. Everything is AI generated. So, and during now this music, 2 or 3 minutes, a number of different images are created, and they are also sent to a gallery.
Sein Blick ist vom Vorübergehen der Stäbe so müde
now this is the lyrics of the poem in
dass
German.
Nichts mehr hält.
So a number of different
als ob es 1000 Stäbe gäbe.
Every time, more or less,
und hinter 1000 Stäben keine Welt.
We used it, as you can see in the other image here, as an open day for Night at the Museum. It was very well received because everyone liked to see his face in a photo, like to create the. This was also a very interesting thing. So that AI and algorithms provide a great opportunity to create things very, very fast. For example, this elephant we created from the mosaic in Otranto. It took us only a few hours to create this using AI and to rework on it. But on the other hand, you're giving away the control about your content and also your artistic perspective sometimes. So, and some also, I guess Charlotte will also comment on that more detailed. AI and all these algorithms are often biased and they are not debug friendly. It's difficult to create the things I really want to create. On the other hand, also it's important giving full intuitive control to recipients, like here in this, because the audience can create things, which is important for them, but it also may further limit your artistic experience. And it may also increase the recipient's experience beyond the wow, cool factor. And that's also important. Right now, everything is wow, cool. We can use the AI for whatsoever, but serious things or meaningful things, sometimes this is also a problem. So the question here is now, who will be in power creating these aesthetic experiences and who is responsible? And last thing I would like to mention is we also have Creative Europe projects. We also have residencies, and this is an interesting thing when we work together with artists. We have a Create Europe project called Modena. It is a residency with media artists and choreographers. They have to apply in pairs. So we need a media artist and choreographer, and they work on projects, artistic projects on dance, AI, and XR. We have an artist residency in the different partners, similar to that what you are doing, you know? And we create a showing and also a masterclass. At that time, we provided masterclasses on motion capturing and avatar generation, and also on AI. Usually we have 4 weeks together with the artists, and we have, after the premiere, in one of 5 dance houses, there are 3 more showings. For example, this one here is a video documentation with twice the speed. It is with 2 artists, Marko and Uroš from Serbia, and they created a piece where we hope you could follow this video, where it was they want to trick an AI not to walk like a human. That was here the idea. Yeah, and it is a kind of game, a kind of performance game, because they invited the audience to come onto the stage and to move not like a human, to trick the AI, which want to identify that there is a human. And if you win the game, then you get some money or get some work from the artists. And this was the idea, to have the audience as performers. So that's basically here the idea of this workshop, or of this work, where we work together with Uroš and Marko. If you're interested here, it is also a website where you can also see the masterclasses and also this documentation. And what was interesting here is the cooperation of art, design, technology. It requires very many resources and well-established settings. And the problem or the challenge is who will provide this, who can provide this financial resource, but also the know-how and all these things. And so that's why we also need these corporations, and also that's why we are very happy here to be also part of this masterclass, and to maybe look for new corporations to establish more powerful structures. So, coming to an end, what we are also interested in, I do not have enough time because I would like to provide Charlotte the opportunity to present her work, which is very important. But we are also interested, how can we present these projects, not only as a scientific talk like a few weeks ago in Otranto, or to provide only a video, so show and tell. Sometimes it is not sufficient. Charlotte especially is working also on that, how we can present artistic research. I would only show, we started this in 2021 when we created a TED talk where we cannot be on stage due to the corona epidemic. And we created a kind of video with a kind of narration, and I would like to invite you just to check the video. The full video is 40 minutes, so it's way too long, but it was interesting for us to talk about, in this case, on mixed reality and avatars in the post-digital age, and we try to find a new format. But I would like to hand over now to Charlotte, because she will present her artistic work, which we support. And just without commenting, here's my take-home message, what I find interesting, but I guess Charlotte will now say much more about the artistic perspective we also have in our lab. So thank you for listening so far.
Thank you so much. I will try to make the transition as smooth as possible. I think you need, perfect. Okay. So let's see. So is it smooth? It's the same image. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you to Carola, to Lucio, to Chris. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be invited to talk about my work here in front of experts, which is very seldom because usually I either talk to artists or either talk to developers, but having a mixed crowd in this case is very, very nice. So I'm excited for the Q&A later, and I'm really trying, as I said before, also when we had the briefing, I'm trying to run through everything because it's very, very little time to talk about such important topics. And I would be very happy if we would be talking at another point more in detail. Okay, some quick words about me. My name is Charlotte. I'm a performance artist. I'm a choreographer. I'm doing artistic research together with Mirevi Lab. And I have been working with AVR and Mirevi Lab for the past 6 years at the intersection of doing scientific research and artistic research. And I am developing my artistic work with the developers of the lab. I am, as an artist, working with a very peculiar material, which is the body, which is movement and dance, with a strong fine art focus in combination with technology. Let me quickly. Now, okay, here we go. So since we were thinking about having this talk about immersive art, I was thinking that I actually could hold an entire lecture on immersive art, obviously. So I'm just going to say a couple of sentences because from my perspective, art is and has always been very immersive. But nowadays, when we are talking about immersive art, we are usually talking about new media, about mixed reality. But actually, art has always been very immersive, and it was very dependent on the time period and in relation to the context, and as a result of the capacity of interpretation of that time, how immersivity was defined. So we can actually talk about the immersive potential of paintings, of sculptures, of poetry and theater and dance, but also obviously the newer understandings of immersion when it comes to new media art. So in media art, immersion is not only effective as a visual spatial illusion, but also in the sense of cognitive immersion in illusory worlds or artistically staged processes, as it couples up both the theories of immersion and the artistic experience. So ideally, immersive art enables the psychological effects, like the sense of being present in one's own actions caused by intrinsic motivation. So the focus is not the withdrawal of everyday life, but rather the emotional and the cognitive intensity of the experience that come together in one experience. Another quick note that I wanted to give you before is that I wanted to talk about languages. Some of you, all of you probably, may know communication is everywhere and it's always difficult to communicate between people. But what I wanted to point out is that it's so challenging to communicate between different fields, even when they are related. So in my case, the related field of dance and fine arts already have different languages, different vocabulary, and even more foreign fields like the arts, the performing arts, and HCI, like the development technical components. So, and apart from that, there's this other layer, which is interculturality, or let's say languages between different systems. So meanwhile, communication is key between like all of us every day. There's also those different hurdles to overcome, like the act of making understand what you actually need in terms of systems, in terms of development, in terms of timing, what that may mean for each genre that we're talking about. I unfortunately don't have time to really jump into that, but I just wanted to give you a fun little teaser slide to show you how I was, for example, for one project, desperately trying to translate the same thing to different tech units of my team, which is actually all of the same things translated in different languages. So it's different Excel sheets, it's different Miro boards, it's different drawings and top shots, and trying how to measure where different systems needed to be. And all of that actually apart from my choreographic work. So on another note, how do I show this? Yes, my work has 3 layers to it. I have an ensemble of dancers, which is the New Human Body Society. And with this ensemble, I also work with the technicians and developers of Mirevi Lab. But then I also usually understand all the systems and actors and robots and computers as part of my ensemble. And so my artistic work, or my work, has 3 layers to it. The artwork itself, which is usually a dance piece for the museum with a huge technical setup and with dancers performing in it, and the audience usually also performing in it. Then I've got the research before and after, and in between the creation of the artwork. And then there's the 3rd layer, which is the mediation, meaning forms of presentation, but also translating how the artwork or the research goes, like in the mediation process for different people. I think that I'm generally interested in is also recursion, or let's say resourcefulness. So I am very interested in how all of my projects are intertwined, and the research is basically forever ongoing. So it's not lost. The knowledge should not be lost. I'm really trying to take my research and all the philosophical thoughts and theoretical thoughts into the next phase of the researches. So as I said, a lot of my work contains research. In my case, it is scientific research, like a normal scientific research, like the development of things and ideas of prototypes, for example, but also carrying it into papers, into journals, into conferences, evaluations, not so much, but also, and in my case, this entire subject of research is being widened in its understanding, because I'm also speaking of artistic research. Artistic research distinguishes itself through its focus on form rather than knowledge acquisition and its translation into pure text. So artistic research blends the experimentation and interpretation to reveal implicit knowledge embedded in artistic practices and in research practices. So unlike scientific research, which typically maintains a separation between the researcher and the object of study, artistic research involves the researcher themselves as an active participant in the creative process being investigated. So artistic research can preserve something that we call, or actually Kempf Jensen calls a so-called felt knowledge. So it's a feeling, it's a felt knowledge, the embodied and non-verbal insights that come up through artistic practices, but may not be possible to capture in linguistic writing. So we distinguish between research about art, for art, and in art, and the latter being the most relevant to my and our work. So in research in art, the artistic practice itself becomes both the method and the site of knowledge production. Okay, I am trying to jump. I'm a little bit late. So in general, so my research areas are basically identity, systems and technology, agency, and agency being basically a meta theme of my work, always with the question of who is actually authorized to perform. So dancers, audience, but also systems, also robots. And the other meta topic that I'm working in is ethics and body politics. So I'm quickly going to jump into the projects and show you a little bit. So this is, I see that it's kind of jumpy. I hope nevertheless you can get more or less the full picture. So this work is called Kin. Actually 2 parts. Kin is the first part. It's an AR dance performance, so a performance with an avatar ensemble. You can download Kin from the App Store and enjoy the performance wherever you are. So basically the setup is wherever you are. The Kin series has an avatar that looks like me and has the shape of my body, has the texture of my skin, my hair, my eyes. And let's see, I will quickly show you a little bit of a trailer.
I have a confession to make. I have a confession to make. I have a confession to make.
So I hear that it's also jumpy a little bit. I hope that I may talk. Do you hear me now, or do you hear the sound of the video?
We hear you.
Okay, perfect, because then I'm just like talking a little bit above it, because it is no joy if the video is jumpy like this. So the idea is a little bit that with the this first piece is from 2021, so it's already very old in terms of new media. So the idea was, with the increasingly frequent streaming of videos of dance pieces, we have asked ourselves more and more how to translate the moving body into digital contexts, and how to do it so well that the artistic experience also works for the audience with digital performers. So in terms of artistic research, our work in the field of augmented reality and dance deals a lot with the credibility of moving bodies. So it's important for me to design the interaction with artistic means and not from the perspective of technology. In the context of performance art, the question came up, how do you create agency within a digital performance? And while Kin addresses ethical issues related to the productions of avatars, the second part, Proxy, raises the question of cultural and identity appropriation, because my avatar, as it was shaped from my body, was moved by other dancing bodies from my ensemble, so other bodies than the one that was represented. And we were trying to grant agency and presence to all the possible identities within one figure, meaning that when the user is experiencing the performance, the avatars would move away when the user comes too close and continue the dance at another place. I'm very sorry for the jumpy video. I will provide you the better video quality later and move on to the second project that I wanted to show to you. So that is called Precious Camouflage, and it's a dance piece for 4 dancers and 4 live artificial intelligence systems. But at the same time, it's a research project for artistic and scientific research. And with Precious Camouflage, we again question the relationship between artistic dance work and intelligence systems as digital agents within a creative setup. We want to understand with this how systems are trained to interpret and try to establish the communication between the systems in order to incorporate them later into artistic work. So a couple of months ago, we had the premiere, which is a 60-minute dance piece for 4 dancers and 4 live AIs on stage. The audience is allowed to find their place at 180 degrees around it. So I will show this trailer. as for the timing, I'm kind of running here as well. So after we've just looked at those impressions, a few words about the AIs, everything that you just saw, everything that you're seeing in this piece is generated live on stage in a kind of telephone game, AI telephone game. So a setup of a live camera on stage, but that records the events, tags the possibilities, puts everything into a grammatical description of what can be seen, and illustrates the dance from the description. And then we have the water AI that is interpreting what is happening on stage in water. So an AI that has been trained with 10,000 water and liquid data information. The AI refers back and is intervened by in the choreography at certain points with their suggestions. So the choreography itself is built and developed in interaction with countless AI principles. I cannot really talk about that right now due to the time constraints, but I would be very, very happy to later on describe a little bit more. Just one short notice on drooling. So you will have noticed that there's spit used repeatedly in the piece. So there has been a big drooling research that is one of the 6 principles I wanted to introduce you to. Based on the phenomenon of biases and the question of moralizing AI, the AI principle of drooling was developed. So ChatGPT, for example, generally refused to represent spit as a material, as it is considered to be a disrespectful representation of people. So only water flowing from the mouth was partially accepted in the context of humans or non-humans, such as drooling sculptures or human-like shapes made out of spit were allowed after discussions with ChatGPT in an environment defined to be very respectful by the AI. So the rejections, the resulting images that very often covered the mouth or had hands in the face and were collected and discussed in rehearsals and developments together with the counter proposals of the systems of positive and artistic dance expressions. So here you can see all the rejections, or a little selection of those here. I'm sorry, but I'm unable to generate an image that depicts figures made out of saliva and so forth and so forth. Nevertheless, with many workarounds, I managed to create some outputs. So those are some of the spitting outputs. And those as well, which basically there's a long research and history going on, which I'm going to jump right now. But to conclude, the act of drooling was basically then understood for us in the projection as a boundary between the human and the machine, whereby the machine is to be taught to drool, but does not accept this act. So under these circumstances, the drool takes the function of a sacred altar that contains parts of the human being and is kind of functions as the protection for the dancers against the surveillance of the systems. So this is why we have a lot of drooling going on. I don't know, do I have like 2 more minutes or shall I come to an end like now?
Yeah, you can show you. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, great. Just wanted to very quickly skip through ongoing processes to show you a little bit how we're now continuing with the challenge. So as I said before, ethics is a very important field of action for me. And so philosophical and political discourses on the body are of very important concern of my work. And this includes also the discussion and the reaction and commentary within the rehearsals with the dancer, but obviously also with the entire tech team or the entire team. As we know, AI technologies reinforce existing injustices and discrimination, including the relation to body and identity and gender. And decision-making processes are increasingly being outsourced to algorithmic systems, which reinforces this discrimination factors. So in my presentation, which later on you will have, I gave some advice, some links of other really great projects dealing with ethics and AI, which I can only recommend to read. And just apart from this research, a very quick note. I have been working with OpenAI since 2023. Now I have been the only funded German artist on the Ethics Council of OpenAI. And I'm in constant discussion with the board on ethical and artistic issues. And in this function, I have also created an own small commentary on my research on the entire drooling thing. And this is the final thing, or pre-final thing, that I wanted to show you, which is this video.
Think of pickled cucumbers first, please. Let the resistance pull your mucous membranes, the little man's revolution like a gulp of zip itself. Janus gaze full of water chews from the tip of your tongue, and they who do not know construct an idea. Performative is the word to the act, the raw trade of the inquisitive who fills the gaps with flowing saliva because, no, I am not sure. You are not sure what spit is. Starch in water thickens the political legacy of small realities, Micha. Within the spit, humanity spits. Drooling without control because every generation empties a bottle of water shows I'm not one, I'm not safe, I am not sure. I'm not sure what it is. Note to power. Now let's have another quick pickle, shall we?
Yes, so what you just saw is my first piece of the series, I'm Not Sure. I guess with a brief introduction on precious camouflage before, you may have an idea about the drooling and where that comes from. So this is what I want to leave you with right now. Just now, the final note is, as I was telling you before, I am trying to develop different mediation and presentation formats. So documenting the research and philosophical constructions of precious camouflage is now being transformed into a graphic novel. So I'm basically having the idea of creating a lecture performance like I'm giving right now, but a little bit longer, and that transformed into a graphic novel with text and imagery. That is basically both. It's a book, like you see it here, but also an app with AR content that whenever you are scanning the book, that enhances the entire content with sources and extra experience to understand what is actually happening. And this book, or this graphic novel, is documenting the philosophical and theoretical thoughts of AI, the human dance, and basically finally leading into the artistic research of precious camouflage. So I am skipping this now. Yes, okay. Now, final words. If you ask us how the future looks, being in the field of arts and science, we would like to emphasize how precious a collaboration is, in which experts from different fields work together respectfully and learning curiously from each other and trying to define their languages and trying to translate their languages. And we are hoping that the projects are speaking for themselves, and I'm very happy to get in touch with you later. Here are further infos and reads and websites. And that's it from us for now. I'm very curious to get into a big conversation right now. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Charlotte and Chris, for your very interesting presentation, but also for your excellent work. We have time for a couple of questions. Please,
can I? Yeah.
Roberta.
Can I, Lucio? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank Charlotte and Chris for this impressive presentation of their work. And I was also very much impressed by the political perspective in your work, which aesthetic and political perspective, which is fundamental in such crucial topics and so sensitive for today. I had many questions, maybe one more urgent related to precious camouflage also. what levels do you think of communications can be established between the performers and AI? So according to your experience, because that's something you are really trying to experience, I think, beyond any prejudice and beyond maybe any idea of threat or of danger that can come also from this risky dialogue, risky communication between the two systems, the human and machine system, if just to simplify. So yes, I think you are speaking about many levels, many layers of possible potential communications also, and not only on the artistic level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is a big question. So in general, my opinion is that I'm first and foremost, I'm an artist, but I'm also a researcher, and I'm very curious. And I think being afraid of systems is not our task. I think it is very important to do our job as artists and researchers, and that also means that we should be having a position, a standing with every technology that there is. I think it's very dangerous even to be ignorant about certain technologies and pretend they wouldn't be there and they wouldn't be existing. You know, I think it's a shame for us as artists to ignore the internet as a phenomenon or to ignore AI. And if my personal opinion is, if we are not taking our stand, if we are not presenting our thoughts and our also very like political stands, other people are taking the discourse, you know, they are basically claiming the field. And this is why I'm thinking it's so important that the arts and the performing arts especially are really being very present also in this field. So that said, the levels of communication, so this is why the team that I'm working with, I'm always like, of course, I'm lecturing with my dancers and I'm really pointing out the dangers and I'm pointing out the insecurities, and I'm myself not sure, I'm really like experimenting with it. But I am asking everybody to be open-minded and to be as afraid, but also as curious as possible, because I think we really should work with this. So I think it's a possibility for us. But in terms of communication, I was taking quite some time to experiment the different channels of communicating. And there is a lot. I actually have huge research, like Miro boards full of different experimental setups. But in the end, I decided to go for very simple ones for stage, because the thing is, there is very interesting nodes of communication between the systems and the dancers. But in the end, I needed things that worked very fast to understand for the audience. And that was a little bit why I chose very simple systems where there is, for example, one detection system that is tagging the probabilities, what is happening with the dancers and what they are doing and displaying. And then there's the other one that is illustrating what the dancers are doing. And I think this is something that the audience can possibly understand. And the second important thing is that in a dance piece, which is a real, like a piece that is dramaturgically set up with timing and references, the communication needs to be very fast. Otherwise, you are losing the quality of a show. And that is a little bit the other problem, because I try to work with different, like, let's say, text or different code input for the dancers, and that works. But the moment that the dancer is looking at some code or some text, and the seconds that they need to understand what is happening and what to react to it, that is kind of losing the power and the energy of the moment. So yes, so it was rather like for the staging, it was very important for me to go with systems that would work immediately. And we were working actually, so the entire thing is like, it's a really set choreography, and everything is really derived from principle, but there's different gaps when I'm asking the dancers to understand what the systems were interpreting and to react directly to it and implement it into the following choreography. And we practiced that so much that now people don't notice that anymore, unfortunately, but which is also good, you know, because now the quality is kind of intertwined. But so it's rather like very strategic timing decisions that led to this idea that we used very clear paths. But there's a lot of different, very interesting communication possibilities that I can also talk about later if there's not any other question.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Thank you so much. Very
Thank you.
Interesting answer, and for your very challenging experience in performing arts. Thank you so much.
I have a question. Do you hear me?
Yes. A little bit. Yes, I think so. Yes.
Okay. Charlotte, I would like to ask you which AI used for the last performance that you show us. I mean, I would like to know a bit more about the technical things of the path from the capture of the images, of the movements, until the projector. Because there are many actors and actresses on the scene, many dancers. And I saw that, yes, there are different screens, and from the latency, I don't know, it seems quite interesting for me how to arrive to this result, because it's a direct, it's a super fast. So I don't know if you can tell us more about it.
Of course. I didn't understand everything, but I think I understood the question more or less. So we have the setup. So first of all, we have to distinguish between the piece and the research, because within the research there has been much more going on, a lot more systems that we have developed ourselves and that we have tried. But within the piece, we have decided, so I decided to go for those systems because they were the fastest or the most clear one to decipher for the audience. So that was very much like this decision. So what we have here is we have 4 dancers on stage, and we have 1 live camera. The live camera, I don't know whether you see my mouse. It's here, so it's between the dancers. Now you see the 3 dancers over there and the first screen, and between the dancers and the screen there's the live camera. And the live camera is capturing what the dancers are doing, and then it's describing in tags, and the tags was a Google Vision API. It's actually, so the live camera is transformed into stills, so it's not video. It's stills. The stills are then sent into Google API, and that is giving the tags. And it's at the same time sent into ChatGPT for video description. So it's actually described as grammatically composed sentences. And those sentences are adapted, so they're actually very pure, but I forbid that it would interpret gender. I didn't want it to describe gender, so it was describing gender neutral. That was the only adaptation that I did. And then this description was used as a prompt that was sent into DALL-E. Again, OpenAI DALL-E back at that time. And that was generating an image with it. Also, that was not tweaked, except for that I was asking to not live render. So it was not a photorealistic render, it was only illustrations. And then apart from this system, the live footage, the video footage was sent into an AI that we were training ourselves, that we are calling the water AI, and that was trained with fluids of oceans, of seas, of lakes, and of spit. And that was live transforming the movement into interpretations of water and waves. So that was the technical setup for this And an interesting thought also is that the camera obviously is, so the camera is horizontally pointed at the dancers. And so and since the space is dark, it's mostly showing the dancers, but also since it's live, there's sometimes audience sitting behind it. And there's also like you can see the tapestry or the walls of the venue. And in every venue that we were showing it, it had different outcomes because it was mimicking and replicating the space also. And that is obviously performatively very, very, let's say adorable, but also interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, Roberta, Pierre, I guess that we can finish this masterclass if you don't have any more questions.
Just maybe can I with the last one
Okay.
to take more time. I have a lot of questions, but also just very basically, how is the work between Chris and, or I'm referring a question for Chris with Charlotte, I mean, from your field, which is more technical, and Charlotte, which is more artistic. Is it an easygoing process, or it takes a lot of time to understand and decode, etc.?
I understand. Yeah, this is really an important question. Well, Charlotte is on the one hand an artist with her artistic work. On the other hand, she's also part of our team, so she's a colleague. She's also directing other projects where we also work at this interface between art, design, and technology. So although we are basically coming from a more or less technical field, so our area is, or the course of study is media informatics, and it is also a bit interdisciplinary. So we also work not only with Charlotte, because sure, these are the most important projects, and the most projects we did are together with Charlotte, but we also work with other artists from dance, but also with theater. I've showed some of these. And we are an interdisciplinary team. So we are not only computer scientists, we also have a cultural anthropologist, we have media design experts, and so on. So we always work in an interdisciplinary setting. And as a computer scientist, especially in the media area, you have to train yourself to introduce yourself into new domains, to understand what the other parts want to create. So we have a lot of experience in that. Sure, it is always exciting. It's always also a kind of challenge, but there is a large reward, because in this interdisciplinary work, we can create things together which each of us cannot achieve. So it is also based on these years of experience. As Charlotte says, she's 6 years. She worked now with us. Before that, we also worked with designers, sometimes also with artists. So I'm working with artists since the last 15 years. So we have some experience in that, but nevertheless, each project is new, is exciting, and always a challenge for all sides. But yeah, we're working on that with, we're happy to do that because we have this success, this joint success. And it's a great experience, let's say. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to both for your amazing work.
Thank you.
Roberta, probably we can finish this. We can close this.
There's one final thing that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So I realized that I was putting the QR codes, but I wasn't writing the web domains. So I just wanted to very briefly mention again that there's mirevi.de, which is the website. Then my personal, which is Triebus.com, but that's not so important. But important is that each project has websites. So in this case, it's precious.dance, which has an own website, or it's kin.dance or spheres.dance. And each website also has interviews and longer featurettes, which I can really recommend to you also, because it's very, I'm talking a little bit about backgrounds and giving more insights. So it's like, let's say 10 minutes of extra additional time of questions on those websites.
Great, great. Thank you, Chris and Charlotte, for your excellent contribution to this masterclass. Before closing, I'd like to say that it will be a pleasure for me to have you again next year to the XR conference that will be in June, about the same period. But this time, for this conference, you will be my guests, and we can be in touch after summer holidays in order to, if you are interested, of course, to define your participation to the conference. But it will be a pleasure for me to have you again also next year.
Thank you so much. We would be very happy to come. It was actually a very, very nice experience, as we were also telling you. It was so lovely to be there. So it would be a very pleasure to come as your guests, and let's do great things together.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll keep in touch after this very hot period, in particular here in the south of Italy, but we'll contact in September in order to define your participation.
Yes, that would be very lovely.
Continue our cooperation. Yeah, it was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I hope that we have also the possibility to work together in some European project, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
That would be really great. Okay.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Awesome.
Good luck
We
with
stay in touch definitely and find ways to collaborate. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. We will talk.
Okay, Roberta, I don't know in which way you can continue, or we can close.
We can, I think, if there are no other questions, yes, we can close. Thanking again Charlotte and Chris this excellent masterclass, and I please, Lucio, to you the conclusions.
Yeah, what to say? I told you at the beginning this, when I saw the demo that Charlotte will do in Saint-Malo, I was immediately impressed, and I'm very happy if we'll have the possibility to work together, because I think that your contribution and our contribution together permit to have and to realize some very interesting projects in this field, combining technologies and arts, and like in the same way as Charlotte and Chris showed in this hour. Okay, thanks a lot for your contribution, for your excellent contribution. And I guess, Roberta, that we can close this masterclass, but just to close the masterclass, but we continue to work together.
Thank you so much, Lucio. Thank you, Charlotte and Chris. And we stay in touch, and we will certainly, sure, we will collaborate in the future. Thank you for this masterclass in the NAT project, whose path will continue in the next months in Italy, and not only. Thank you very much to the participants in this masterclass also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.